Okay, welcome to Sacred Account Saturday. This is Jerry Fetta. I'm the owner, founder, and CEO of Wealth Dynamics. It's good to see everyone here today. If you're tuning in here live on Zoom, it's great to see you. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, Vimeo, whatever it might be, I want to thank you for tuning in today. Really quickly, I just want to give my team a moment to share this stream. And if you're watching right now as a client, as a follower, as a supporter, I'd love for you to share the stream too. So my team, if you could share this on my personal Facebook, Sacred Account Facebook page, the Facebook group, and then we'll also obviously attend the comments here on Zoom. Now, before we get started, I'd like to cover with some ground rules first. So something I cover every single week. If you're here watching today, I want you to make sure you have the purpose understood of why you're here. Okay, what is it you're trying to get out of this course? Especially if this is not your first time here. If you've been here several times, right? Why do you keep coming back? What are you trying to learn? What are you trying to apply? What are you trying to improve at? Right? So I want to make sure you have that figured out. The second thing I want to go over with you is, to remove the idea that money can't be learned about. Okay, this is rule number one about being financially successful, is deciding that you can learn about it. You can be successful. It's not just reserved for the top 1%. Most of the top 1%ers that you see in terms of wealth didn't start there, right? So you've got to look at it the way I did. And I had to realize, okay, I'm actually able to do this. Okay, this is something I can do. It's something anyone can do. And I just need to learn the rules to the game, right? So money is made complicated by banks, by Wall Street, by institutions. I don't need to tell you guys that. You probably have already observed. Everything with them is complicated. It's all sophisticated, fancy. It sounds like it's difficult, so that we feel like we need to hire them, so that we feel like we need their services, right? So that's the first point today, is that money can be understood and it can be learned. And if I don't think that, I'm not going to be able to learn, because I think I'm doing something that's not possible, right? So uncapping that mindset, I can learn about finances. The second thing is that this is something that you want to remove the idea that I know this all already. I've heard it before. I've watched these webinars. I've been to one of these events. That we live in a day and age where information is easily accessible, and people confuse the consumption of information with education. Okay, the consumption of information is not education, right? No different than eating is health, right? Just because you ate doesn't mean you're healthy, right? So what did we consume? What are we doing with it? Are we applying it? Are we successful in that area? And if we are, then yeah, we've got knowledge, we've got education. If we're not, we're missing the results. Doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, how well I can regurgitate the material. I apparently lack knowledge still. Okay. And then the third thing that I want to go over, sorry, that was the third thing. The fourth thing is I want you to ask questions today. Last week we had a great session. There were a lot of questions that came up. And so I want to keep that in. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. If you're on Facebook, comment below. And then if you're on YouTube, Vimeo, wherever after the fact, questions and stuff can go in the comments. We always like to answer those. You can send us messages as well. Now, this is called Sacred Account Saturday. So I would be remiss if I did not go over the Sacred Account with you guys. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of good information on the Sacred Account, how it works, what it is. If you're not sure what that term is, it's a tool that we use. We use it because the top 1% historically have used it to save money, to build reserves, to pay off debt, to invest, to self-finance large purchases using a specifically designed type of life insurance. Okay, this is almost 200-year-old strategy. It's used by thousands of banks in the U.S. If you look back through history, people like Ray Kroc, people like Walt Disney, people like J.C. Penney, people like Teddy Roosevelt, Pampered Chef, Foster Farm, Stanford University, all of these different groups, they've used the Sacred Account. You know them today, and they're not out there saying, hey, we use life insurance, but guess what they did? If you research it, they did. The Rockefellers used it, right? So we're looking at a strategy that's hundreds and hundreds of years old, that's been successful, right? This is why I started using it, because I'm a believer in if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So a lot of us, we go out there looking for these magic silver bullet strategies, whether it be crypto or whether it be the next online fad or whatever it might be, right? Airbnb properties, and they're all relatively new things. Index universal life insurance, for example, they're all very new things. But the problem is, why would I start with something new if I haven't tried the thing that already works? Okay, I had a mentor of mine several years back ago. He said, you need to get compliant before you get creative, right? If you can't abide by a proven process that already works, why would we try and invent a new one? We're doing double work, right? So let's master what works already, then we can start getting creative. You know, it would be one thing if I was saying, hey, none of the financial tools out there work, the financial system's broken, there's no solutions, let's go start looking for new things. But that's not the case. I just told you about one tool that's been used for 200 years in a row successfully. Not just by anyone, by the wealthiest people in the world. This is not your brother-in-law at Thanksgiving dinner. This is not your coworker at the water cooler. This is not the keyboard cowboy in the comments. This is John Rockefeller. This is James Cash Penney. This is Walt Disney. This is Ray Kroc. This is our current president, Joe Biden, has 6 sacred accounts. Okay, he probably forgot he had the first 5, but we'll give him kudos because he does have 6 of them. That's a big deal, right? So these are people that are of notice and they're of stature in society and throughout history that have successfully used this. And we should at least take a look at why did they use it and could we be doing the same thing? Because if we can, why wouldn't we be? Right? So what I want to go over before I get started is a couple of things. So as I'm going through this again, answering questions is a big thing for me. Drop those in the chat, drop those in the comments. I do want to introduce 2 people on my team. So the first one is Rodrigo. Rodrigo is one of my lead ambassadors. Rodrigo is going to be reaching out to you because we want to offer you a free appointment. If you're watching this today, whether you're a client or you're brand new, okay? You qualified today because you took the time on a Saturday, because you invested in your knowledge, because you're learning about the sacred account. We want to help you, right? So I want to offer you a free appointment with myself or with Rodrigo. Joe is going to post the link in the chat, but I want to share my screen and show it to you here as well. And if you want to schedule a free appointment with either myself or with Rodrigo, simply go to jerryfetta.com/appointment. Okay, if you go to jerryfetta.com/appointment, that's going to have you fill out a questionnaire, whether you're a current client or you're brand new. Okay, you can use this link to schedule. Okay, so that's going to get you on either my calendar or Rodrigo's calendar, depending on your circumstances and what you need help with. One of the 2 of us will be able to help you for sure. So definitely fill that out. You can get a free appointment with us. The other thing that we're giving to you today as a gift is a free book. If you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get a free copy of my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Okay, and I want to go ahead and share the cover of the book with you because it's important, and I want to make sure you've got that. So the book basically is going to go over, oh, it looks like we didn't actually go live maybe. Let me make sure we did go live. The book is going to go over what I've covered, what I've learned, what I've spent the last decade or more of my life teaching and studying, which is how do the top 1% historically build wealth. Right? We have this group of people that consistently keeps doing it. And we're being told about wealth disparity and wealth inequality. And so when I think about top 1%, to me, that sounds like a really small number. I'm like, oh man, that's a minority. Okay, but did you know that the top 1%, if we've got 330 million Americans, 1% of that is 3.3 million. Okay, 3.3 million. That's a pretty large group of people that are consistently getting a similar result. It's not like top 1% is 10 people. Right? Or 100 people. We make it sound like it's this tiny number. 1% of 330 million means there are 3 million or more people that are winning financially at the highest levels possible. Okay, what are they doing and how come we're not getting the same results? Okay, so this is the book. You can grab a copy of the book if you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. And you can grab a copy of this. This is completely free. You just cover your shipping. And this is going to give you a lot more than we're going to cover on the webinar today. Okay, today we're going to talk about the sacred account. I want to talk about the different ways that it can be used. But again, it's not something that we're going to cover all of everything. We're going to cover as much as we possibly can. Okay, we might run out of time today and not cover everything, depending on how many questions there are. One thing I do want to note, last week, I love how many questions you guys had. Okay, there was a ton of questions that came through. So there was questions on everything from the sacred account to taxes to everything you could think of. So I want to make sure if you guys have questions, you can drop those, put them in the comments, and I'll answer those for sure, right? So definitely don't hold back on the questions. I want to make sure we have a lot of engagement and interaction as well. I do tend to like to go live and mic up with you guys so that we're able to talk because I don't always get to talk with everyone myself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into our topic here today. And again, if you've got Joe reaching out to you or Rodrigo reaching out to you, just check your chat. I might check in with you a few times here and there. throughout the webinar today if I see that they've messaged you and you need to respond back or set up an appointment with them, right? So the first thing I want to cover, guys, is what is the problem that we're trying to solve with the sacred account? Not even what is it, like what is the problem we all have in common, right? And the problem we all have in common with finances is not the stuff we're taught, right? We were taught our problem is that we need to be able to get a good job and retire and all this stuff. Retirement's an industrial age concept that's like 100 years old. It's relatively new in society. Very few people actually achieve it. It actually, at its root word, the word retire, the root definition of that, actually means to retreat from, right? Retreat from, meaning like you're losing. If you're in a battle and you retreat, you were not the winner of that battle. If I'm in life and I'm retreating, I'm not the winner of life in that moment. So for me, my story goes all the way back to when I was 18 years old. I was a financial advisor. I was licensed. My mom was my very first client. I set up a retirement account for her. And so with retirement, we're being told with our retirement accounts, we can retire at age 59 and a half. Age 59 and a half, we can retire. And at that point in time, we can start taking distributions from our plans and using that for income and all this good stuff. And it's all Skittles and rainbows and touring the United States in our RVs for the rest of eternity, right? That's what we're taught. Now, with my story, it didn't turn out that way. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at age 60. Okay. 6 months later, she was dead. And so the year that she was supposed to be able to retire was the year she passed away. Okay, and I'm 18, 19 years old. I think at the time, actually, what was I, 21 maybe? Yeah, 21 years old, I think. And so at that age, I was watching this whole system that I had just been taught. Guys, you have to understand, I took my life insurance exam, my health insurance exam. I took my Series 6, my Series 63. I was studying for my Series 65, all the licenses you're supposed to get in the United States to become a financial advisor. And this is what they teach, right? They teach, just put money away every single month. And when you turn 60 or 65, you'll have enough for retirement. And I watched the entire thing not work with someone that, one of the people I love more than anyone else in my life, right? That hit home for me. Not only was that like, shoot, that wasn't at all what I was teaching or expecting. It also hit home for me of, I don't want to have that happen. Okay, my mom, like she's a great woman, but she didn't live a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas. Most of us don't. Okay, we talk about wealth. This word wealth to me actually means that. It means abundance and prosperity in all dynamics of life. Okay, that's the problem. Like, why are we here? We're not here to go to school and get good grades for 18 years so that we can get a college degree, so that we can get a good job and get a good income and then pay off our mortgage and retire at 60 and hopefully we die before the money runs out. I don't believe that's the purpose of life. Okay, anyone that's living that way is deluded. Like we're being taught that that's what life's about. No, that's not what life's about. Even 100 years ago, that wasn't what life was about. This is a very new concept. Right? There's just enough marketing and advertising and media behind it. We're like, okay, yeah, this is normal. Okay, what's the point of living on a gigantic planet if we're never going to see any of it? We're not going to travel. We're not going to go to different countries. We're not going to experience other cultures and other foods. Guys, I'm a foodie. I know I'm into fitness and working out. The reason why is because I love food. So I love the idea of I'm going to go travel, right? What's the point of having friends if we can't help them and make their lives better? If we can't afford to do that? What's the point of having food if we're not going to try it all? What's the point of having nice weather if we're not going to go enjoy it? So what I'm saying is most of us don't live abundantly and prosperous in all areas of our lives. We live day to day, Friday to Friday, right? Oh God, it's Monday. Oh, thank God it's Friday. That's the lifestyle most people live. We live paycheck to paycheck, barely enough money to cover our bills, right? When we do travel and we do spend money on these extra things, we enslave ourselves. Right? All with the wish, not even the certainty, the wish that someday we'll be able to retire. Okay, I don't know about you. I want to travel now. When I'm 60, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be a badass 60-year-old, but there's things that I can do today when I'm 30 that I'm not going to be able to do as well when I'm 60. And I don't want to wait till then. Right? Like I was looking at this the other day. There's a technology that came out. It's a health program I was learning about. And it's predicting like how long people are going to live. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, for myself, do I actually want to know that number? Do I want to know, you've got 42 years left specifically? because they were saying we can dial this in within the month, right? And there's a part of me that would, because I would have certainty. I would know, okay, all the stuff I want to do, I've got this much time to get it done, right? But there's a part of me that wouldn't as well, because it's like, what's the point if you already know when it's going to end, right? Like, so my point with all of this is that we're not meant to solve the problem that Wall Street and banks and institutions are telling us we're meant to solve. You know, how do we manage our debt? Well, 100 years ago, there was no credit cards. That was invented. How do we fund our retirement plans? Well, 50 years ago, there were none of those. That was also invented. How do we pay off our mortgage? 100 years ago, they didn't have a mortgage. That was also invented. Do you see how all the stuff that we work our lives away for are all made up? Your kids, those weren't invented. Your family, that wasn't invented. Society, that wasn't invented. That's been around forever. These are all the things that matter in life. Yet we don't get to live like fully in those areas because we're so focused on how do I grind away and get my next little paycheck so I can make it to the second Friday from today and stick a little bit of money in this 401k account. Hopefully when I'm 60, I'll be able to use some of that. Right, so here's the problem. I'm going to show you very clearly what the problem is. We trade time for money. This is problem number one. We trade time, and I'm not even going to call it money, I'm going to call it currency. We trade time in exchange for currency. US dollars. If you're in Europe, you do it for euros, right? Almost everyone on this planet trades their time for currency. Okay, the problem is both time and currency are completely made up. Like, think about it, currency, like it's printed. It's not even paper anymore, it's digits. They just type it into a computer screen. There's a video on our YouTube channel of Jerome Powell on 60 Minutes being interviewed saying, oh, really, we just type it into our computer. So currency is completely made up. Now we're trading our time for it. I'm going to tell you time is made up as well. This one might be hard for you to think with, but let's say that I'm wrong and you're right, time's not made up. Okay, well, that means that time is a real valuable resource in your life and you're trading it for something that literally can be printed into existence from nothing and it's got no actual value. That is a ripoff, guys. You can't get your time back. I can show you how to get money. I can show you how to get currency. I can't show you how to get the time back that you already spent. Right? Now, I'm going to take this a step further and tell you that not only is currency completely made up, time is too. Okay, time represents change in motion. Right? Now, what did change in motion represent? Change in motion represent energy. When something changes, energy, it takes energy for that to happen. When something goes into motion, it takes energy for that to happen. You are a source of energy. Right? So what does that actually mean? It means that your energy is being harnessed and you're exchanging your energy for something that has no real value. Right? So this is not about collecting dollars. This is not about collecting currency. This is a different conversation. This is, how do you get control of where your energy goes? How do you spend your energy on the things in your life that matter the most, the things that you are passionate about, that you care about, that you love? Because I don't think that, you know, most people, if a child is born and you don't raise them in the society, teaching them retirement and all this stuff, and you just say, here's everything you need in life, go do what you want to do. I believe two things. I believe most people would be doing good, and I believe most people would be doing something different than they're doing today. Okay, I don't think most people come out of the womb and they're like, yeah, I want to go do criminality. I think they're trying to solve problems created by society today. Why do you steal money? Well, if you don't need money, there's nothing to steal. Nobody cares. You see what I mean? Right? So if I'm like looking at this and saying, good, I want to live abundant and prosperously in all areas of my life. What are all those areas? Right? That means that for me, I want to live with abundance and prosperity in my spiritual, you know, with my family, emotionally, right? Physically. I want to have fun. I want to be creative, right? These are all things that matter. I want to be helpful, right? I want to have experiences. I want to travel. Like, these are all areas of my life that matter. And so if I want to live with abundance and prosperity in every single one of these dynamics, every single one of them is being 100%. That's not going to be cheap, right? Like, even at church, they're going to ask you for money. And you should give it. They're giving you a service. They don't just go there and take every week. Right? With family, that costs you money. You have family, they got birthdays, Christmas, you're going to want to go experience things, go to dinners with them, right? If you've ever invested in yourself emotionally, that's not free, right? Physically, gym membership, eating properly, getting supplements, going to the doctor, that's not free. Having fun, I'm not going to say that you have to have money to have fun, but the more money you have, the more fun you can have, right? Being creative, you need resources. If I'm an artist, how am I going to get, the tapestry and all the stuff I need to do that, right? To be helpful, right? I can only be so helpful if I can't actually give someone a resource. Okay, and the same thing with experiences and travel. If I want to go somewhere, that's also going to cost money. If I was doing all of this, I'm going to need a lot of money. And if I want to do all of it now, I need a lot of money now. Not wait till I'm 60. I want to do that now, right? And so we've been taught you can't do it now, but we're being taught by people that are doing it now. You see what I mean? So this is the problem. Okay, and the solution is not to put all of your money in a 401k plan. The solution is not to give all your money to the bank. The solution is not to give all your money to the IRS so they can pay you a refund at the end of the year. Okay, the solution is not poverty. I tried that one. The solution is you need wealth. You need financial wealth. You have to be able to financially fund a life of abundance and prosperity in all dynamics. And so the question comes down to, okay, well, how much is that number and how do I get there? Right? And the way that we get there is very simple. I teach about this almost every single week because it's such a critical and important component. The way we get there comes down to what's called the triangle of wealth. There is not another option for this, right? No different than if someone tells me they want to lose weight, I'm going to say, good, consume less calories than you burn. That's it. I don't care if it's donuts or chicken breast. If you consume less calories than you burn, you will lose weight no matter what. You don't need to do keto. You don't need to be fasting. You just eat less food than you burn. Right? So that's like with this triangle of wealth. The way that you build wealth is you earn, you save, and you invest. And that's it. Right? There's nothing fancier than that. Now, most people don't do this because the current system limits our income. What do I mean by that? Like when you think about your income, what does the current system do? The current system says, go get a salary. Good. You've just fixed your income. They pay you $50 a year. Awesome. That's all you're ever going to make there. You make 3% more next year because of inflation. How do I build wealth when I'm living on a fixed income? Right? I can never increase. I've got to look at how do I increase. Okay. Versus the wealthy, they go for unlimited income sources. Right. So I look at, okay, what's the alternative here? I could go be let's say an administrative assistant for the government, and they're going to pay me 70 grand a year with great healthcare and benefits. That's awesome if I'm going to work there for the next 40 years and I'm going to try and do the retirement thing. That job fits that model. I just need to merely show up every week and work from Monday to Friday, enjoy my weekends, go to Olive Garden and drive my 2 German vehicles around and walk my dog. And that's life for the next 4 decades. And twice a year, I'm going to try and slip away for a vacation. So hopefully that when I turn 60, Wall Street did a good enough job with my money that I can die before they run out of it. That's the current system, right? But you look at the wealthy, that they don't do that. They look at, okay, I'm going to earn more income. They want unlimited. They're looking at, okay, I want to know, sales. I want to know marketing. I want to build a business. I want to be in a service-based area where I can do more of a service that's not tied to my time. Okay, we do this with our ambassadors. Like we don't have like traditional salespeople because we don't want a bunch of W-2 salespeople. We're saying if you want to be in sales and you want to be in marketing and you want to be in the financial industry, do it as an entrepreneur. Okay, do it as an entrepreneur, but do it in a proven system so that you don't need to rebuild it all and rebuild that wheel and fail like 95% of businesses do. Okay, so we've got to earn. This is active. We're going to be trading something for currency. Okay, active income. Okay, this is the first piece of building wealth. How do you do that? You work, right? And if you can work in an area that's unlimited, that's even better, right? And I don't want you to get so consumed about like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Find someone that's doing it and go copy them. That's the easiest way to earn more income. Find somebody that's already earning a lot of income, find out what they're doing and go copy them, right? If you're like, I like what Jerry does, good, come be an ambassador with us. Come copy me. I'll show you that. That's what you need to do to earn more income. Save. Right, we keep a percentage of that income off the top. And this cannot be an afterthought. right? Most people save as an afterthought. Like at the end of the month, I'm going to save what's left over. Okay, that's actually backwards. The IRS does not take money out of your paycheck that way. Wall Street does not take money out of your paycheck that way. The bank does not take your mortgage that way. They do a forced, pre-planned, and automated withdrawal from your income. You need to save the same way, right? We've been told, save money, pay yourself first, and that's something most people don't do. And even the ones that do it, they're actually not paying themselves first. If I am paying myself first by giving the money to Wall Street where I can't have, touch, or control it till I'm 60, I didn't pay myself first. I paid them first. I pay my taxes first. I can't have that money, even if I get a refund. They kept it all year. I'm out of control. I didn't pay me first. I paid them first. Same thing with the bank. I then take my net paycheck, deposit all of it into a checking account with a bank, a financial institution that takes all my money and they loan it out to make money on my money and pay me little to nothing in return. I didn't pay me first. I just paid them first. Right? So this is the immediate disconnect. This is why people don't build wealth the way they should. They earn and then they never actually do the save thing. Instead, they give the money to Wall Street. They give the money to the IRS. They give the money to the banking system, and they never make it to the stage of investing. And even with investing, we've been taught that investing is the purchasing of retail financial products. We've been taught that financial consumerism is investing. Okay, what is financial consumerism? Consumerism is when you're a customer and you're buying, you go to a mall full of consumers. You go to a car dealership full of consumers. We've been taught to be a consumer. We're not producing, right? I'm telling you, when you invest, it should actually be a form of production, not consumption. It's a form of production. Okay, I'm not consuming a service. I'm actually producing more income. When I invest, it should produce more income. It should supplement my active income so I can solve one equation in my life, which is PI greater than set. Passive income that exceeds my savings plus my expenses plus my taxes. Right, on our e-commerce store, we're actually creating a shirt on this because we want as many people in the world to see this concept as possible, because this is the equation of freedom, guys. This is financial independence. When I achieve PI greater than set, I no longer have the obligation of trading my time for money. That's done, right? So tying this into the sacred account, I do want to open this up for questions really quickly, and I want to also bring up, the book and the appointment link again. And it looks like Joe actually has been reaching out to some of you guys. So you want to look at your chat here on Zoom. Okay, check out your chat here on Zoom. You may have gotten a message from Rodrigo or from Joe, right? So if you are on this, I'm going to post a link right now to offer you a free appointment. If you go to jerryfetta.com/appointment, right there, you can book a free appointment with myself or with Rodrigo on our team. Okay, so that's jerryfetta.com/appointment. The second link is going to be jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. This is for the book, the free copy that I mentioned, Blueprints to Financial Freedom. Okay, jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. You can go there and get a copy of my book. Again, here's what that looks like, right? And this is going to be the blueprint to get you there. This literally is called a step-by-step guide toward achieving passive income that exceeds saving, expenses, and taxes. So if you're watching this, like, how do I get there? The book tells you exactly how to get there. When you become a client of ours, guess what we help you do? We help you apply what's in the book. It's not some secret sauce. It's all there, right? And the best part about it, this is not my stuff. I spent the last 12 years of my life studying finances, studying the top 1% to see what they actually do with their money. What are the banks doing? I'm going to talk to you about the sacred account for about the next half hour on this webinar. Why? Because 3,000 plus banks in the United States of America have over $200 billion collectively in this exact kind of life insurance, and you're giving them your money and they're just putting it there. Okay, I like to talk about gold. Why? Because the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States of America, our privatized central bank that loans money to the United States Treasury so that we can have currency to spend, which, by the way, it carries interest and causes inflation. This Federal Reserve Bank has 80% of their reserves in gold. 80%, guys, that's like a lot. That's like, it's not like, oh, do a little sliver in precious metals, 5% of your portfolio, like the gurus on mutual funds will tell you. No, 80% of their reserves is in gold. China currently is building a bullion bank for countries to settle in just gold. Right? Like this is a thing. And we're not doing it because why? Marketing, retail financial consumerism. Financial, go consume the mutual fund, go consume the 401k plan, go consume the IRA, go consume the annuity, go consume the index universal life insurance. Guys, that's the McDonald's of financial products. So if you want to have a McDonald's financial result, get the McDonald's of financial products. If you want to have, a healthy result, one that's actually like, man, I aspire to be that way. Physically, if I aspire to look this way, like a bodybuilder or a fitness person or whatever, I'm not going to go to McDonald's. I know better. That's not where those people eat. If I go to McDonald's, I'm going to look like the people that are currently in the McDonald's. I'm going to have a dad bod. Okay, I don't particularly want to have a dad bod, right? So same thing with finances. We have to look at what is the result being caused by the people that are consuming the service. Okay, the people that are consuming banks, Wall Street, and the IRS right now, 80% of them live paycheck to paycheck. 8 out of 10 of them paycheck to paycheck. 60% of them have less than $1,000 in savings. Okay, over 2/3 of them do not have an estate plan. If they're sole proprietors, the majority of those business owners that don't have their correct like LLCs and corporate structures, 700% increased chance of being audited by the IRS. Okay, the average American gets a tax refund of over $400 a month. That's money that's being kept from them by the IRS. Like the average retiree is going to run out of retirement income in less than 10 years from retirement. Those are the statistics of that system. So I can reasonably predict if I go consume those services, that's the result I'm going to get. Is that better than poverty? Sure. Yeah, having 70 grand in an IRA when I'm 65 is better than being homeless. Totally. That's not the conversation we're trying to have. The conversation we're trying to have today is, are you living a life of abundance and prosperity in every single area of your life? Okay, and I'm not here saying I am and I'm perfect. I strive to do it every single day. And that's why I'm building my business. And that's why I'm hiring people. That's why I do so much work on myself spiritually. That's why I don't tolerate outnesses in my life, because I want to live abundantly and prosperous in all areas of my life. And when something is not on that 10 out of 10, 100% dynamic, I confront that and I deal with it. And I look at, okay, the first thing I need to solve is I need to take responsibility for it and gain control, which I can't do if I don't have control of the finances that fund that area. Okay, you see the tie together on that? Okay, so again, that's why we say get the book. You're going to learn a lot more in the entire book than we'll be able to cover just on today's webinar. So where are the points that the sacred account comes in? All right, so the first thing that most people need to do is they need to be on a forced savings plan. That's like point number one. They need to be on a forced savings plan. Okay, we've all heard like almost every guru will acknowledge some form of this phrase of either live below your means or earn more than you spend or expand your means. It's all kind of the same thing. The point of that is to save money. Right? Like when someone says you need to live below your means, what are they really trying to say? They're trying to say, Jerry, you should be saving every month. There should be money left over. So reduce your expenses so you've got leftover income. When Grant Cardone says expand your income, he's saying you need to be able to save. You need to have surplus. You need to have more money than you spend. He's just saying it the different way of earn more income rather than reduce the expenses, which I'm more of a fan of the second one. Right? So we need to be on a forced automated savings plan. This is the first thing the sacred account does. Right? The reason most people don't get on a forced automated savings plan, if you're watching this and you're not currently on a forced automated savings plan, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is you're afraid that you can't keep up with it. Right? You're worried about it. You're like, well, then I don't have let's say it's $250 a month I've got to do. Then I don't have the $250 a month. You do. And the thing is, you're already going to spend it if you don't. Right? Your car payment is more than $250 a month. Did you think about that before you signed up for the car payment? Now I'm not going to have the $400 a month. Your health insurance is the same thing. It's forced and automated. Oh, now I'm not going to have the $300 a month I send to them. Your rent or your mortgage. Oh, now I'm not going to have the $2,000. You didn't think that. You thought, I want that, so I'm going to pay for it. I can't afford all of the house right now, so I'm going to get on a payment plan called a mortgage. Or I can't afford the 40 grand right now, so I'm going to get on a car payment. So I want you to think about your life being maxed out, 10 out of 10, abundance and prosperity and all dynamics. That is now an item you can purchase. I want you to think about it like this. And it's going to be a really big number. It's going to probably be, between $2 and $5 million for you to get there in the next 10, 15 years. That's what you're going to need. If you wait longer, it's going to be a bigger number because inflation and taxes are going to go up. But let's just say, for the sake of today's argument, that the number is 2 million. You need $2 million in assets, in investments, to have a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas of life, so that you achieve passive income greater than savings, expenses, and taxes, and you no longer have the obligation of trading time for money. And you can do whatever you want to do with your energy, with your time, with your creativity. Let's just say that number is 2 million. You can now finance that by being on a forced monthly payment plan to your future, into your sacred account, right? Now, you could argue with me, oh, maybe it's not the sacred account. Good, let's take that off the table. Let's just say it's not the sacred account. Put it somewhere, right? Now, where is the question? We've been taught it's not just what you make, it's what you keep. It's not just what you keep. I believe it's also where you keep it. That's very important. If I do this and I take what I keep and I put it in a 401k that I can't touch till I'm 60, I have now mortgaged away the very future I'm trying to put myself on a payment plan for. You see that? I can't have that future till I'm 60 now. I've put it on hold. It's on layaway. I can't touch that. I can't have that. It's no longer a future I can have in the near term. It's going to be far out. Right? On the trade-off, I stick it in a bank. Right now, I'm not getting any growth. So I'm putting it in a position where it's going to slow me down again. Plus, it's being put at risk because there's a higher chance I'm going to spend it. Right? So the bank's not ideal. Okay, I don't want to give it to Wall Street. I don't want to give it to banks. I definitely don't want to give it to the IRS. Like, for those of you that are getting tax refunds, we should correct your Form W-4 on your paycheck so you get that money back every month and you can use it, rather than having it taken away for the entire year, 0% interest paid, and then you get, a refund at the end. You don't want that system. So if we're not going to give it to the banks, we're not going to give it to Wall Street, we're not going to give it to the IRS, what should we do with it? Do we bury it in the backyard? I don't think so. Cash went down. Currency, paper dollars went down by what, 8-9% in value last year? So saving in dollars was the equivalent of having, if you had 10 grand in savings, you might have as well have had 10 grand on a 9% interest rate credit card. You lost that money. Your 10 grand is not worth 10 grand anymore. It's worth 9,100. You paid interest via inflation, right? So we don't want to just leave it in cash. So what do we do then? We could do gold and silver, right? That's an option. Most of you are like, well, why would I do that? The bank that gives you your currency has 80% of the reserves in gold and silver. I would be asking, why am I not doing that? Why am I taking their paper? They produce paper and send it out to us to consume while they take in gold. You see the backwardsness in the system? I should just flip it to where I'm getting the gold instead, right? So that's an option I can do. The second one I can do is I can do the sacred account. Okay, the sacred account is high early cash value, dividend paying whole life insurance. Okay, and I can put money away there, and that's going to put me on a forced automated savings plan. Okay, now in my opinion, I like the life insurance better as a starter. Number one, it's guaranteed against loss. Gold is not. It's guaranteed to grow. Gold is not. I can borrow against higher values, which I can't do with gold. Right? It's a more simple way to start. It's more proven. Like I said, over 3,000 banks have their money there right now. Right? Like whatever bank you have where your money is at right now, I can probably bet you that there's probably an amount of their reserve that's in a dividend paying whole life insurance policy. You're literally funding for them to do it. Just bypass the middleman and do it yourself. Okay, so being on a forced automated savings plan, this is like funding your financial future, putting yourself on a payment plan to get to that number so you can achieve passive income greater than savings, expenses, and taxes. If I would go on a payment plan for a car, why would I not go on a payment plan to buy my financial freedom? Why would I not go on a payment plan to buy my financial freedom when I would be on a payment plan to buy a house that's going to just wear out over time and cost me money? Right? If I would be on a payment plan for a college degree, why would I not be on a payment plan to finance my financial freedom? It makes zero sense. And I'm explaining it to you as if you're financing something. You're not actually financing something. You're saving money. You're just committing to a recurring monthly amount. People think in terms of payments today. They don't think about, I need $2 million invested right now. That's too big of a thing to confront. But they can think about, okay, I've got a $400 car payment. Good. Why are you financing the bank's financial freedom with that car payment instead of your own? Doesn't make any sense. Why are you financing Wall Street's financial freedom by getting the free match that isn't really free in your 401k instead of your own? So that forced monthly savings plan is such a big deal. I want to show you the power of this. So I've got a couple of financial calculators up that I'm going to go over with you. The first one is going to just be a savings calculator, right? So let's just say that for the next 30 years, so that's going to be February 18th of 2053. February 18th, 2053. There we go. Let's just say that for the next 50 years, I put away a monthly deposit of $500. And I put this away and I get a 4% return, and I don't invest that in anything. I just let it sit there for the next 30 years, right? $500 a month is not that much money. Okay, so deposits at beginning, 30 years, 1 day, I do 361 deposits. That's going to turn into $344,000, right? That's at a 4% rate of return, right? Why did I use that figure? Because that's what the sacred account pays on average, 3 to 5% tax-free. That's if I just leave the money there, right? In 30 years, the average American will not have $344,000. It's not happening, right? Even with Wall Street, it's not happening. Right, I can count, like when you talk to your friends and relatives, and I go through, if I were to count which of those people has, over 25% of $1 million there. There's 3.4 million or 344,000 there. You can probably count on one hand the amount of people that actually have that money. Okay, it's not complicated. It's $500 a month at 4% for 30 years. Why do people not have it? Number one, they're not actually saving $500 a month. They're not on a forced monthly savings plan. It's not a contract. Even your 401k is not a contract. Your 401k is an opt-in, which means next month you could opt out. Is it automated? Sure, but it's not forced. Your car payment, on the other hand, that's forced. Your mortgage, on the other hand, that's forced. You don't have a choice to opt out of that contract unless you get rid of it. If you want to keep the car or keep the house, you need to keep making that payment. Right? So I'm saying this is similar. If you were on a contract where you were forced contractually to save $500 a month, guess what would happen? You would definitely save $500 a month, right? The other thing is most people aren't making 4%. They're saving in a bank where they're making 0.01, or they're saving with Wall Street where they think they're making 4%, but Dalbar, a mutual fund rating agency, they did a third-party study showing investors over the last 20 years, their average return after fees and losses, but before inflation and taxes, was only 3.88%. You factor in inflation and taxes, and they're actually not making even that. Right? Not only that, but when you pull this money out of the 401k, if you do accumulate 344 grand, you're going to pay taxes on it. So there's probably 30% of that that's going to leave. You'll be left with $200-something thousand. Right? So being on a forced savings plan means that it's automated. And it's forced, it's contractual. You have to do it. Okay, so the sacred account solves that. Now, the other thing is okay, well, with the sacred account, you can actually borrow against it and invest. We're going to talk about that in a second, but most people just don't have cash in the first place. Okay, and I want to take a minute to answer some questions. I said I was going to, and I didn't. Let me see here. So if you have questions, drop those in the chat, in the Zoom here. If you're on Facebook, same thing. I want to make sure we answer those for you. Good. So questions that I see here. Looks like Brianna ordered a shirt from our store. That's awesome. We did just launch our e-commerce store. We're very excited about that. So if you want to get a copy, or not a copy, I'm so used to the book. If you want to get some of our merch, you can go to store.jerryfetta.com. We have shirts, hoodies, hats, phone cases, all sorts of cool stuff. All right, so again, if Joe or Rodrigo sent you a message, be sure that you check your chat. Okay, so we have a question here from Avery. Let me bring Avery on live here. All right, we're mic'd up and live with Avery. How are you today, Avery?
Hey, I'm doing phenomenal, Jerry. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for asking. What's your question today?
Yeah, always a pleasure to be on these calls. My question is for you personally, according to the PI greater than set, do you save first or do you tithe first? And in terms of tithing in your mental accounting, would you classify that as expenses since it's going out?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I think this one depends a little bit on your religious philosophy a little more. Some groups like, so I was raised in a church where you tithe, like you give a percentage of your income off the top. And so if somebody is in a setting like that where that's kind of the practice, I've heard that that is done before you save, like it comes off the top. Really, it's all an accounting thing, right? If I make 10 grand in a month and I tithe 10% and I'm saving 40, I'm still going to tithe 1,000 and save 4 grand, right? So it's kind of the same thing. The math works out about the same way. For me, I like to do my gifting similar to like how I do with my sacred account. I like to be on a monthly amount that I like to give and donate. And then I like to add in lump sums as I can, right? So if I have, an extra donation I want to do or extra money I want to give, I'll do that in addition, right? So that's kind of how I do that. I do think that's an important part, right? I would include that with expenses. So PI greater than SET, savings, expenses, taxes. For me, a life of abundance and prosperity does count being charitable, giving, donating, right? And that's part of my expenses that I want to calculate for. And also that can reduce my taxes too. So it can kind of play off the other to help with keeping more in the end and being able to use more of your own money for good, right? I think a lot of these churches and charities and nonprofits are going to do a better job with our money than the government will with our taxes. Great. We've got a couple more questions here. Let me go ahead and pop these up. Tammy says, definitely interested in the book. Good to see you on here, Tammy. Tammy, you can grab the book at jerryfetta.com/V2F promo. Joe, if you could send Tammy the link for that, and then she can get set up with the book there. Ian says the book is priceless. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nick says life-changing content. I appreciate it, Nick. Carly, this is my first time on a webinar with Jerry. I'll get the book. That's awesome, Carly. Yeah, definitely grab the book. And if you want to set up an appointment, again, you can go to jerryfetta.com/appointment and schedule a time to talk. Tammy says, I just signed up for the sacred account yesterday because it makes so much financial sense. That's phenomenal. I'm excited about that, Tammy. That's great. Mariella is getting the book. That's awesome. Let's see if we have any other questions. Ian says, my daughter turns 5 in August and starts kindergarten and assisting the training, and I'm willing she know more about finances than she will. I bet that's probably going to be true, Ian. And Ian, if you want to set up a sacred account junior, that would be a phenomenal thing to do for your daughter at this age. Lots of good questions and comments here today. Good. Let me just check our Q&A. I see a few questions that came up here. So we have a question from Travis. Let me bring Travis on live here. All right, we should be live with Travis if Travis has got a mic. Hey, Travis, how are you today?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's your question today?
Hey, quick question. I just signed up. I'm ready to fund this this life insurance ASAP. I just want to know. I did it. I got it. Well, they call it a solo 401k. It's the same thing. Solo is a self-directed IRA 401k. I want the intel on how to fund real estate deals with the money I accumulated when I worked for the federal government. And I'm a licensed agent, and I definitely want to get involved with being an ambassador and just the actual offer this product.
Okay, that's awesome. So Travis, first thing I want to do is I want to help you out with your questions on the licensing and also with the 401k. So I'm going to send you my personal link here so you can just book directly with me. Let me see if I can send this over to you. Just a second. Let me find Travis and send him this link. Good. So on the 401k question, So with that, if you've already rolled that over into a solo 401k, the first thing that I would look at there is whether you are your own custodian and trustee, or whether you've got a custodian acting as that position. Early on in my career, Travis, I was of the thought that you wanted to be your own custodian and trustee. So we would sell the solo K, and you would just get a document, an adoption agreement. We'd place you with the bank as your custodian, and you'd run the whole thing yourself. We found within 2 or 3 years, most people were out of compliance, confused, and lost, and they put their money at risk legally with the IRS just because they weren't keeping all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed, right? So I would recommend having that in an open-ended custodian where you are self-directed, but that management component is outsourced. Just like I wouldn't want to own a rental property and be the manager, I'd want to outsource my management. Same thing with a 401k or an IRA. So that's just a point I'd mention. As far as investing your solo K or your IRA, if you're self-directing, we have 2 really good products for that. One of them is called Equity and Help. Okay, Equity and Help is a form of seller finance real estate. And that allows you to actually physically own real estate in your retirement account, earn passive income off of it, and be able to accumulate it and build that portfolio up so that you've got all this happening in a tax sheltered vehicle. So that's a great strategy. The other one we have is actually called gold leasing. So you can own physical, tangible gold, right? You get appreciation on that. You're also able to lease that out for income in addition to the appreciation. And so you can actually have gold that has 0 storage costs. That's kind of the downside with a large amount of gold is the storage. You have 0 storage costs because you're leasing it out and you're earning income on it every year. So that's another one that we could look at. There's a few options in addition to that. But if you want to schedule with me, Travis, we can do a one-on-one call and kind of look at that. And I'd love to talk with you about being a licensed agent with us for sure. Very good. Okay, and then Ian asks, how much savings is recommending gold and silver? Percentage is about 25%, correct, or am I off? Okay, so Ian's asking when you save in gold and silver. So the top 1% of wealth, they save 40% of their gross income. 40%. With the sacred account, generally you can get away with putting about 25% of your income in there, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, just kind of case by case, which means the remainder is going to get split generally between gold and silver and real estate. Now, which of those you do is very up to like what you're interested in and what your finances are geared towards. So for example, with me, I've always done more gold, right? The reason why is I rent. For me, it does not make sense to buy a house right now. Okay, it will at some point. Today is not the day. And so I don't want to look at, okay, I want to buy real estate for the sake of owning real estate. And now I've got insurance and property taxes and utilities and all this added stuff. If I own gold, I don't have any, like I have way more liquidity. I don't have any carrying costs. I can lease it out. I can borrow against it. And so I'm going to push more towards gold and silver. Okay, you could do real estate if you're doing a first position home equity line of credit. That's going to allow you to turn your house or your rental property into its own sacred account with real estate. So that's something we would look at for sure as far as where does that other percentage go to. Great. Yeah. So Travis, go ahead and schedule with me. I'm going to send you my link one more time here. Okay, good. So I want to just see if there's any other questions before we jump into this last part. And again, guys, as I'm doing that, 2 different things. So if you're watching this and anything we said sounded helpful to you, okay, I want you to go to jerryfetta.com/appointment. Okay, you can schedule an appointment there with myself or with Rodrigo. We're going to answer your questions and help you guys. I did 3 calls yesterday with clients, I think. So 3 calls. The first one I did, we helped the client pay off his debt with his sacred account. We put a strategy together for that, cover his 6-month reserves. And we actually found out he has $1 million in retirement accounts that he can self-direct the same way Travis just mentioned. So he's going to go from being in Wall Street products to actually owning real estate that pays him passive income now. Okay. So that was probably a 20-minute call. In addition to that, I was able to set him up with a free one-on-one consultation with my CPA team so they can help him reduce his taxes, and then also with my legal team so they can work with him on his estate plan. Right. So very valuable call. I did another call yesterday with someone, another one-on-one, where we worked with that individual on, they already set up their sacred account and they're like, good, I've got it. What do I do now? So I plugged them in with, we have something called our mapping team. I got them connected up with the info for our mapping team so they can start getting help on, okay, I'm going to start taking loans against my policy, using that to pay off debt, using that to invest. Okay, I had another one with another client where we helped them get the information to set up their very first sacred accounts. And then another client that had a pretty considerable amount of debt that we're going to be able to get them out of very quickly, right? So these one-on-one calls, the purpose of it is to give you immediate help, immediate wins. We want you to see, okay, good, my problem is handled, right? Whatever that problem might be. I don't know how to save money. Good, let's solve that. I'm paying too much in taxes. Good, let's solve that. I've got attention on, I don't have an estate plan. Good, let's solve that. That problem's handled. Now we can look up and we can see the strategy. Right? It's very hard to see the strategy when we're focused at 3 inches in front of our face at the problems in our lives. What I said at the very beginning of the call, problems in finances are often manufactured. So we can give you easy, workable solutions, proven solutions, and then let's work on the strategy on getting you free. Right? Like in life, there's 2 types of people, right? And the first type of person is the one that wakes up and they immediately dive into their problems. I used to be this. I'd wake up and I'd immediately, what's my to-do list? I need to do this, I need to do that. And I get all into my problems, right? And then my whole day would happen as an accident as a result of that. And I'd always be like, why am I not achieving my goals? Why am I not getting there faster? Well, because I'm spending my time majoring in minors from the minute I open my eyelids. Okay, the second type of person, they wake up, the first thing they do is think about their goals, right? Where am I going? What's the goal? What's the focus? What's the long range? Okay, there's going to be problems. I get to pick the problems based on my goals. If I'm going to pick a problem, I can pick a little one that's immediately in my space, or I can set a really big goal and go deal with that problem instead. And I don't worry about the little problems. I don't put my attention on them. So what I'm telling you is with your finances, I want to get you to the point where you're able to do that. You're able to look out into the future and say, good, I want to do that. Okay, I want to go deal with that problem. That's a fun problem. Like getting $2 million is a fun problem. Getting 20 grand a month in passive income, that's a fun problem. Right? Figuring out the tax burden on this gigantic investment, that's a fun problem. Where do I donate all this money? That's another fun problem. How do I make sure that my kids get my legacy tax free? That's a fun problem. Okay, dealing with Amex, not a fun problem. Right? Trying to figure out how to make back money I lost in the stock market, not a fun problem. Right? Trying to figure out how do I grow my money because the bank doesn't pay me anything. That's also not a fun problem. So we need to change our problems up, right? So go to jerryfetta.com/appointment. You can set up a free one-on-one there with myself or with Rodrigo. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to give you instant solutions, instant wins, get you winning with our services, get you handled on your problems, and then work with you on your goals. The second thing is if you're at the stage where you just need some more information and education, go to jerryfetta.com/V2 promo. You can grab a copy of my book there. Right? Now, what I don't want to have happen is you watch the entire webinar. You've been here for an hour now, like there's a reason, and then you leave and do nothing, right? That's a waste of your time. You invested an hour and got nothing from it. Okay, the information, I love what I teach. I'm the first one that's going to tell you, like, it's good material, it's going to help you. But the reality is if you leave here today and do not act, you probably are going to do nothing with this information. You might as well have not been here. You might as well have watched cat videos on YouTube for the last hour. Right? Like, so if you're here, you're engaged with your finances. I want to acknowledge you for that. There's millions of people on a Saturday in America that don't care about their finances. They're not trying to improve. Right? They need our help too. But it's going to take some of us getting there first and being the example where we have our friends, family, our relatives, our coworkers, like looking at us and like, wow, they look different. They do life differently. They're not stressed about money. They have control over their finances. When the stock market gets locked in half, they're not stressed out. They're not paycheck to paycheck, right? Like they're going to notice these things. These things are noticeable. And then we can say, yep, this is what I'm doing. I want to help you do the same thing, right? Those are the people we care about, but we've got to get there first, right? So if you're here for a reason. If you stayed for an hour, you stayed for an hour for a reason. If you haven't booked an appointment or purchased a book, there's also a reason for that, right? And it's either you don't believe what we've covered yet today, you don't believe us, or you don't believe in yourself. You don't think you're going to follow through on it. You'll think this is just one more thing you're going to start and then not finish. Okay, and I want to tell you, for us, don't believe us. Believe the math, believe the track record. I can show you 3,000 banks plus that have the sacred account. I can show you where the top 1% did all the stuff we said they did. You can read all about it in my book. You can source all of it. You can Google it. It's all there. Right? And if you don't believe in yourself, that's why you need to believe in someone else first. Believe in somebody that can believe in you. Sometimes that's what it takes. Right? So don't be worried about, oh, I'm going to sign up for the sacred account and then I'm not going to finish it, or I'm not going to have enough money or whatever. We'll help you. That's the purpose of us being here. Right? I'm here on a Saturday because I want to help. Right? So we're a helpful group. If you want help, we can help. And that's what that's about. So definitely get the appointment scheduled, grab the book if you haven't already. And then guys, to finish things out, we didn't cover nearly as much as I wanted to. That kind of happens pretty commonly. So we didn't cover quite as much as I wanted to, but we did cover quite a lot, right? And so, you know, what I want to make sure of is you guys know that there's more education to come. So Wednesday night, a couple of special announcements before we sign off. Wednesday night, actually, let me rewind. Monday afternoon is the first one. So Monday afternoon, we're dropping our next episode of Mini Mogul Monday. It's me and my godson, Sammy, talking about finances by kids for kids, right? So he is 11 years old. We're teaching him all about the sacred account. He's getting his set up and funded right now. We're doing gold and silver every month. He knows about taxes. He knows how banking works. He knows how the sacred account works at age 11, guys. And so he understands this well enough that he's actually starting to be able to explain it to even adults. Like he explained on his very own, like last week, he explained the sacred account to an adult, right? He was teaching them how it works. So this is a great one. It's going to drop Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. This is a great one to share with your kids, watch with your kids, and they're going to listen to another kid teaching about money. Right, it's very engaging, it's very entertaining. So that's going to be Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. The other one is going to be Wednesday night. This is a very special webinar. So we have a special guest Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Michael Lush, the CEO of Replace Your Mortgage, is going to be doing a training with our clients on how the Replace Your Mortgage strategy works. This is how you use a first position home equity line of credit to replace your mortgage and turn your house into your own banking system as well. So you can do the sacred account concept, but you can do it with your primary residence, a secondary residence, or rental property, and actually borrow against it and have that growing and doing the sacred account concept there as well. So that's going to be 6:30 p.m. Eastern time Wednesday night. That will be a free seminar. You can register for that if you're interested. What I want you to do is email joe@wealthdynamics.com. Email joe@wealthdynamics.com, and he'll get you the links for those. And then again, we'll be back next week, same time. That's going to be again 1 p.m. Eastern time, Saturday for Sacred Account Saturday once again. And then the fourth and final event, we've got a lot of events this week, will be Saturday next week, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, this is an event for entrepreneurs and business builders that are interested in taking it to the next level. I'm going to share with you what I've done for personal development, what I've done for growing my business, some of the administrative secrets that I utilize in my own life. Even up till today, I still use these things. I don't talk about them enough. I don't get to speak about them as often because they don't have to do directly with finances, right? But it's an area I'm good at and passionate about. So that's going to be next week. That'll be 5 p.m. Eastern time. So all these events I just mentioned, one way to get all the info, email joe@wealthdynamics.com. He'll be able to get you the links for those. We'll get you guys set up. Otherwise, I want to just make sure we don't have any other questions in the chat before we sign things off today. Good, I think that's it. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I will leave the meeting room open. Okay. Oh, Ian has a question, Q&A section. Am I able to use your logo on my website? So we can't have you using our logo. You can have links to us, but our logo has got to stay just with our site, with our logo, copyright, all that kind of stuff. So good question there. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and exit the meeting. I will leave the meeting room open so that way you guys can chat, network, still set up appointments with Joe. And then once you're done, set the appointment up, get the book, definitely make those things happen. Otherwise, guys, have a great Saturday and I'll talk to you next time.